you're not finna talk about Michael, are you? Yes, I am.
Michael Jackson never mentioned a single doctor to me who was treating him with opioids, propofol, or any of those substances. Michael Jackson was a drug addict.
Security comes to get me and says, you have a guest here who wasn't on the list. And I'm like, who? He's like, Michael Jackson. I'm thinking they joking around. I'm thinking like, they trying to maybe punk me. This is like I think punk was out during this time. I'm not knowing what's going on. So then I go towards the back by like where the catering was, and it's Michael.
There is something Katt Williams once said that many people heard, but not enough people truly thought about. He admitted that he should never have made jokes about Michael Jackson, not because the jokes were not funny, but because he realized something deeper later on. According to Katt, one of the reasons the entertainment system allows certain people to rise is because they are willing to tear down people from their own community. Think about how serious that statement is. Katt Williams built his entire career by saying bold things that other people were afraid to say. So for him to look back and admit that he was being used against someone like Michael Jackson is a very important confession. Once you understand what Katt really meant, it changes the way you look at Michael Jackson's life. It also changes how you see the entertainment industry itself. Even at the peak of his fame and power, Michael Jackson still could not fully protect himself from the forces around him. Back in 2006, Katt Williams released a stand-up special called The Pimp Chronicles Part 1. During that show, he joked heavily about Michael Jackson. The audience laughed, and the jokes became popular because Katt was extremely successful during that time. His style was fearless, and it seemed like no topic was off limits. That became one of the biggest parts of his comedy image.
And the fact of the matter is, we watched get murdered right in front of our own mother. And knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. His last tour, this is it. And they straight and gave us the most bull story we ever heard our entire life. First they told us this nigga drug addict. Then we found out this drug was sleep. Yeah, that's no drug addict. Something's afoul here. This story don't go together.
Fast forward to late 2024. Katt Williams appeared at the Vulture Festival for an interview with journalist Jesse David Fox. During the conversation, the topic of Michael Jackson came up, and Katt said something that surprised a lot of people. He admitted that he regretted making those jokes. He described them as the jokes of a man that was hurt by an icon. That statement immediately made people stop and think because it sounded very personal and emotional in a way that most people were not expecting from Katt Williams.
I shouldn't have, honestly. Some of these things are the reason that the enemy decides to go ahead and let you be famous, is your ability to tear down your own kind, no matter how high they are. On the other hand, my job is to be funny first and to voice the opinion of a group that doesn't get to have their opinion out there, right? So as a black man, if you don't love yourself, you don't love me. So those were the jokes of a guy that was hurt, by an icon. And so I was telling those jokes. The fact that years later, Janet Jackson says she still loved me despite the jokes that I told about her brother is probably one of the most magnificent things, just because I say a lot of hilarious shit. It costs me every time, I'm never unscathed in these situations.
Now think about the phrase, hurt by an icon. What exactly does that mean? It suggests that Katt Williams, like many black entertainers from his generation, grew up looking at Michael Jackson as the highest level of success anyone could reach. Michael represented the idea that someone could rise from nothing and become one of the most famous people in the world. So when the media started attacking Michael's image, many people dealt with that disappointment through humor. Katt was one of them. But Katt's deeper point was even more uncomfortable than simple regret. He was saying that the entertainment industry sometimes creates and encourages mockery on purpose. According to him, the industry can use your voice, your popularity, and your platform to attack someone else. And by the time you realize what is happening, the damage has already been done. If you watched Katt Williams' famous Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharpe in January 2024, then you already know that Katt has been talking about this way of thinking for years. The interview lasted almost 3 hours and gained over 83 million views on YouTube because people were shocked by how openly Katt spoke about the industry and the things people usually stay silent about. One of the main ideas Katt repeated during that interview was simple. He believes that nobody reaches the highest levels of the entertainment industry without making compromises, and those compromises are not always about money. Sometimes those compromises are moral, sometimes they damage relationships, and sometimes they involve hurting or destroying other people while trying to move higher in the industry. When you apply that idea to Michael Jackson, the story starts looking very different. Michael became so powerful, independent, and vocal about the business side of music that powerful people may have started seeing him as a threat. He publicly criticized Sony Music and fought for ownership of his own music catalog. He controlled valuable assets that many people believed they should control instead. After that, the public narrative around Michael slowly changed. The media coverage became more negative, and the same entertainment world that once celebrated him started slowly reshaping the public image of who he was.
Jack, I wanted to ask you about Michael Jackson. What about him? Was he touching little kids?
What I will say is this. They spent a lot of money and a lot of time trying to convince people that he did. And yet every witness that they had recanted or was found to be a liar. You know, the simple fact that he was a child victim of SA in the industry, the things that happened to him in Motown, the way he was taken advantage of by the late Quincy Jones, may he rot in hell. The way he was lined up by his own people when all he ever did was try to warn people how to protect yourself from the industry. The way he gave good counsel to Aaron Carter and let him know that he would be targeted by Sony, and look at what happened. And now we have Liam Payne. You know, it's interesting where people's minds go.
It does seem like a campaign to attack the melanated. But when you say how do you pick and choose what's true? Like when you hear Michael Jackson versus Diddy, Bill Cosby versus R. Kelly, Jay-Z versus whoever else.
R. Kelly had his own set of Diddy tapes. That's what got him. Bill Cosby admitted it in a deposition that he thought nobody was ever gonna see. Diddy was broadcasted on CNN violently attacking and abusing at what they've been trying to disprove was an FO. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
You can't argue with reality. Rymir Satterwhite, Wanda's son. She had it when she was 16. It takes 40 weeks to cook a baby. That means she was 15 when she got pregnant. Age of consent in Pennsylvania is 17. Was then, is now. And she was taken across state lines from Pennsylvania to an apartment in New York. Oops.
Oh, the detail.
That's how Rami Satterwhite made it into this world. Take the test. That's fine. We'll give you You Don't Know Diddy. Take the test. You making Vegeta Go look halfway rational. You've been ducking this boy's DNA for all his life. Take the test. Do something.
Would you like to see him on the couch?
About lack of integrity and valor and integrity, and you've been dead beating it your whole life. Meanwhile, your daughter's looking more like somebody you used to be with than somebody you married to.
Now, this is where the story becomes even more interesting. In different interviews and conversations, Katt Williams has pointed to the title of Michael Jackson's final concert series and suggested that people missed the deeper meaning behind it. The tour was called This Is It. It was supposed to be 50 concerts in London and was promoted as the greatest comeback in pop music history. On the surface, it looked like Michael Jackson was returning in triumph. The king of pop was back again. But Katt believes there may have been something much heavier happening behind the scenes. According to Katt's interpretation, Michael may have understood that this tour represented a final chapter or last stand in his life. The pressure surrounding those concerts may not have only been about performing. There were also financial pressures, business disputes, ownership problems, and complicated agreements involving promoters and powerful business partners connected to the tour. All of it painted the picture of a man who was famous beyond imagination, but still did not have full control over everything happening around him.
How often did you talk to Michael?
We spoke to him not that much during rehearsal, but we last saw him May 14th.
Do you know how long he'd been given propofol?
Well, see, when This Is It, there was a lot of footage that was taken out that no one saw, and because that was the edit before the edit, and it's just that so much went on. So much went on.
And is that footage damaging? I mean, do you see a guy, in a bit of a daze, bit of a zombie? I mean, what is the stuff we didn't see?
Well, things that we've noticed, and this is why the defense is going to try to paint my brother out to be a drug addict, and he was very dependent on drugs. And it's not true, because how can someone be dependent on drugs? And it's just 2008, he was dancing 4 hours a day, and he had a 5-year plan of starting a new life. And
well, let me throw something to you about this. I know somebody who's a very famous TV star, very famous, one of the biggest stars in the world, who's a friend of mine, who takes sleeping pills every night to sleep because he finds the adrenaline is just too much going on. Been doing it for years. That is a form of addiction. Now, I was on Ambien after breaking some ribs for 3.5 weeks once. When I tried to stop, it was like having a form of cold turkey for 2 or 3 weeks. These are strong drugs. Propofol is significantly stronger than anything that this friend of mine takes or that I was taking that time. So if Michael was getting this stuff over a regular period of time, he could still be performing perfectly well. But as you say, underneath it, the damage would be pretty intensive, I would say.
But that's the question. Michael has always had an anesthesiologist around him when he was taking things.
Someone who knew.
Whether I knew.
Someone who knew about the process of knocking somebody out for the purposes of sleep.
Yeah, plus he's lived all this time doing Demerol and sleeping pills and also pain pills, but the symptoms from propofol, it's like no one knew that he was, well, the public didn't know. He was complaining about his body, one side being an ice cube, another side being very warm.
Do you know how long he'd been taking? Is there any evidence that you've seen?
I really don't know, but
what is the family's belief? What is the theory that you think about that?
Our belief is that we knew he was doing prescription drugs to sleep and pain, and we didn't know about propofol. I just found out about this drug, which I can't even pronounce hardly, but the symptoms. The reason why I want to talk about the symptoms, because if you look at the past tours, We've never heard of these symptoms of Michael Jackson not knowing whether to go right or left when he comes on stage.
Who was he telling about the symptoms?
No, this is
Family?
no, these are people that were around him. Him not being able to lift himself out of what, 5-pound prop or something, and repeating himself, and him losing just unbelievable weight. And these are signs of toxic in your body.
Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009, less than 3 weeks before the This Is It concerts were supposed to begin. Every one of those 50 shows had already sold out. The official conclusion was that his personal doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray, gave him a fatal dose of propofol while Michael was inside a rented mansion in Los Angeles. Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter and served less than 2 years in prison. Katt Williams' argument was never simply about whether the legal case was correct or incorrect. His focus was on the bigger picture. He talked about the environment surrounding Michael during those final years. The isolation, the dependency, and the people around him who had reasons to keep him controlled and quiet. One thing that appears again and again when looking at Michael Jackson's final years is the idea of isolation. After the 2005 trial, where he was found not guilty on all charges, Michael's life never returned to normal. He left Neverland Ranch and spent years moving between places like Bahrain and Ireland, far away from the entertainment industry that had shaped his entire life. By many accounts, he was emotionally exhausted and deeply affected by everything that happened.
You know, they credit your testimony in part for Michael's acquittal. You know, you were called really a star witness. You withstood a blistering cross-examination, and he was acquitted. On some level, do you feel guilty about that now? Do you think about that?
Yeah, I do think about that. I have, and I do. I wish that I was ready. I wish that I could have helped Gavin Arvizo receive some justice and some validation for what happened to him. It was just like what happened to me and just like what happened to James. And I wish that I could have played a role in, at that point, stopping Michael from abusing however many other kids he did after that.
Do you think that there are others out there?
I do think there are others out there, but I also don't expect them to just come out now that we're coming out. It's such a difficult thing to do, to come out. You have to do it when you're ready.
We can't change what happened to us. It happened, it's done. But what can we do with it now? How can we provide comfort for other survivors? That's what this is about. And Michael just happens to be the guy, the abuse in this child.
Well, CBS This Morning co-host Gail King joins us now on the set. Gail, their story is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking and disturbing. I watched both parts back to back over a month ago, actually, and then watched it again right before the interview because I started taking notes. And I woke up really just haunted and very disturbed by what I had seen. I think it's important to emphasize that the Jackson family believes these two are admitted liars, that they're opportunists, that they're trying to exploit Michael Jackson in death and exploit the legacy. But what they have to, the story they tell is very, very chilling.
You know, in your piece, you point out that they had been given an opportunity to talk about this before, and they denied that there was any. Why are they talking about it now?
Well, I mean, I think that they said you have to come to it in your own time. And they weren't ready to talk about it then. And also, Anne-Marie, for a long time, they didn't even think of it as because Michael, they say, had trained them so well to think, we love each other. This is how people show love. And it's always, we will get in trouble. This is our special thing. So when you're a little kid, you feel that you're complicit in that. So for many years, they didn't know that it was when they became adults, actually, and really started having their own children. And the biggest reason why they didn't tell is because they wanted to protect him. This is somebody that you're in love with, who you care about. And so they lied to their parents, they lied on the stand, and said for them, they thought, if we didn't lie, it's going to hurt him and ultimately hurt us. So when you listen to the story the way that they tell it, you can see why with a little child's brain, even though they're grown, Wade was 22, he was 11 the first time and 22 the second time, you're now a grown-up.
By late 2008, Michael was back in Los Angeles preparing for the This Is It concerts. He was living in a rented mansion in Holmby Hills. The people surrounding him during that time included employees, assistants, handlers, business associates, and professionals whose loyalty to him was sometimes unclear. Many of the close friends from earlier periods of his life were no longer regularly part of his daily inner circle. People like Chris Tucker, whom Katt Williams has praised as someone with strong integrity, were not constantly around Michael during those final years. That absence became part of a larger pattern people later started discussing more seriously.
An authentic relationship with someone who was very guarded, who's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I found that your friendship with him was very genuine.
Yeah.
And it just worked. Like, how did you and Michael Jackson actually become friends?
It was crazy, man, because I think he knew I was a big fan of his. 'Cause
Yeah.
in every movie, you could check out all the movies, Fridays from Rush Hours. I have something in it about Michael Jackson, because I guess I got influenced by growing up with, Michael, like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I met everybody, all his family members before I met him. I met Jermaine. I met Joe Jackson even called me one time at a comedy club. I was
Because
like,
all of them were big fans.
all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to meet Michael, and but they always just calling me. I was like, "Where's Michael? Call me with Michael on the other line."
No one to get from you?
Yeah, him probably hearing about, and we got on the phone with each other one time.
Yeah.
And he told me he was performing. He was doing his album in New York, and I was doing Rush Hour 2 in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he said, "When you're through, just come to New York and we can meet. And it's great. I'm a big fan." And I'm like, "I'm a big fan, Michael. You don't understand." He's like, "Whenever you're done, let's get together." But I spent a lot of money to see Michael.
Really?
Yeah, because I took a private plane to New York. I took a private plane to New York because Michael told me, when you finish Rush Hour, come see it. So I knew he was there. I called him before I went because I was going there for something else.
Yeah.
And I kept leaving a message, "Michael, I'm in New York. If you're around, I'd love to see you." And I didn't hear anything. So I got on that same private plane, flew back to Los Angeles. I was done. As soon as I landed, I got a message from Michael Jackson's office like, "Michael, want to meet you tomorrow in New York City." I was like, "What?"
Don't tell me to go
And
back.
I went right up to the captain's seat and I said, "Take me back to New York." They said, "Well, is this gonna cost?" I said, "I don't care. You got my credit card. Just take me back." Man, I was in an expensive plane too. I don't know what it was, G4 or whatever. I said, "Take me back." I didn't tell
It was
what I was
worth it.
doing.
It's Michael
It was
Jackson.
worth it, man. Every dollar, and that's how we became friends. It was like, I don't know how much it was, but it was crazy. They flew me all the way back. The guy said, "Cool." The pilots went right back up in the air. They had enough time; they could fly some more. So that's how I met Mike.
Was he really as giving as everybody says he was?
Oh yeah, he was because he was like, anytime that I wanted to go to Neverland, like I would just call him, "Michael, I want to come up to Neverland." He's like, "Of course, sure, come on up. I'm not there. I'm in Russia, but go on up. The chefs are still there and everybody's there. Go." So he was nice. I mean, he was a joker. He liked to joke around, and so he was fun. A lot of fun to be around.
Katt Williams has repeatedly suggested that this kind of isolation is not accidental. He believes the entertainment industry often separates artists from the people who genuinely care about them once those artists become difficult to manage or inconvenient for powerful people. According to Katt's view, the process does not happen all at once. Instead, artists slowly become surrounded by people whose main goal is managing them rather than protecting them. Over time, dependence grows stronger, and if something eventually goes wrong, there is enough distance between the powerful executives at the top and the final outcome that nobody higher up appears directly responsible. This is also the part of the conversation many people avoid when discussing Katt Williams and Michael Jackson. Katt is not only talking about music, he is talking about an entire culture inside entertainment where obedience and compliance are rewarded. During the club's Shay Shay interview, Katt openly claimed that he had been offered opportunities throughout his career that would have required him to compromise his values. He said he turned those offers down and lost money because he refused to become someone the industry could fully control. According to him, that decision damaged parts of his mainstream career, but it also allowed him to remain independent.
Club Shay Shay, yeah. I was trying to do something there that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I could show that. And when I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story. I'm gonna tell this, but you know what else I know. So, yeah, I was...
Michael Jackson, despite all his global fame and influence, had spent his entire life inside the entertainment system. He entered the Jackson 5 when he was around 10 years old and never truly escaped the machinery of fame and business. The people managing and shaping his career had decades of experience, understanding exactly how to influence him, pressure him, and keep him cooperative whenever necessary. Katt Williams' deeper message was that superstardom at the highest level does not always equal freedom. In many ways, it can become the most expensive and complicated cage ever created. That is why Katt's moment of regret at the Vulture Festival matters so much. When he admitted he should never have made those jokes about Michael Jackson, it did not sound like a public relations move. It did not feel like someone trying to repair their image. Katt Williams has spent years publicly criticizing powerful people in Hollywood without fear. He is not known for softening his opinions to please the industry. What he expressed seemed much more honest and personal. He admitted that he had participated, even in a small way, in damaging Michael Jackson's public image. And once he understood how the entertainment machine works, the jokes stopped feeling funny to him.
Well, I was going to ask you, it just seems like, you know, at least when I saw you in the studio, you were listening to a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of Thriller, and a lot of interviews.
Yeah, I was talking to Michael Jackson last night. I was ill.
Really?
It was crazy ill. You came in on me like a shadow. Like ill. Then he just like, here's Mike. I don't know where he came from, you know? Where the Mike came, I don't know. It's my word. I don't know where he came from. Yeah. He was in there working on a song that they had asked me to work on. And the song was incredible. And, you know, he just came in the room. I was like, what's up? It's like, what's up? So it was cool.
And that was in the studio?
Yeah, last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you guys actually meet and
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, eh?
But I know
Yeah, it was just that the Thriller album to me was like the best album ever made. You know what I mean? I even spoke to Quincy about the formula, how they put that together. He showed me a little chart and everything. So I followed the guidelines, not to make Thriller. I don't want people to think that like I'm making Thriller music, like I'm making Beat It or something like that. Or I might even sample and beat it. You know what I mean? It's nothing like that. It's the structure, the way they made the album. Excuse me, let me just get that for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, but I mean, you were saying that like you wanted this album to either top it or have that feel of like having, you know, 9 really hot songs or whatever.
That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to make Thriller. I'm not trying to make Beat It. I'm not trying to moonwalk. I might get a bubble, but that's about it.
No monkeys. No.
Yeah, no monkeys. Nothing. I just like the, you know, as far as the songs, it was 9 songs, 9 hot songs. You know what I'm saying? 9 singles. You know, not that I'm trying to make a single every time either. I'm just trying to make an album with all the hottest music on it. I mean, if you look at the history in every album that I made, you know, you can never say that it was 1 or 2 songs. You know what I'm saying? And I take great pride in that. You know, even Volume 1, which people was my most criticized album, had 5 bomb songs on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I try to work at. Just making a whole album full of hot songs instead of 1 or 2 singles and this album's over.
So, what is the main lesson from all of this? Katt Williams is not a historian or investigative journalist. He is a comedian who spent over 30 years inside the entertainment business, watching how the system operates from very close range, while refusing to act like everything he saw was normal. His regret about Michael Jackson almost feels like a form of testimony. It suggests that the destruction of Michael Jackson's image did not happen because of one single moment or one single person. Instead, it happened through thousands of smaller moments. Jokes, headlines, interviews, media coverage, and comments slowly built a public narrative that eventually became accepted as truth by many people. When people ask why Michael Jackson could not be saved, maybe the answer is bigger than Conrad Murray or any individual event. Maybe the answer is that by the time Michael Jackson truly needed help, the world had already been conditioned not to defend him anymore. Katt Williams seems to understand that idea deeply, and his willingness to say it publicly, even if it damages his own relationships inside Hollywood, is exactly the kind of honesty that many powerful industries dislike. So maybe the real question is this: if this could happen to the most famous artist in the history of popular music, how many other people have been lost in ways that society still does not fully understand yet?